As long as you have a baseline understanding of what should be done and what should not be done, you can learn from the people who are doing their best, and you can learn from the people who are doing their worst. Because the best people, they show you the path that this is how it's done. And the worst people, they show you the path, this is not how to do things. So if you are able to differentiate, if you are so you don't have to have 100% people that would tell you that this is the path to take or this is how to do it. Even if you are sitting among people who are not successful and you are able to differentiate that, now you know that 1,000 ways not to do it, that's what you can learn from it. So you can learn from everybody. I
Right.
believe that whenever Allah puts any two people together, there is a reason for it. There is a granular plan for it. As long as we serve, as long as we reflect.
You're listening to the East Meets West Pakistani Professional Journeys podcast, released bi-weekly every Sunday at 5 p.m. on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple iTunes. All right, welcome to another episode of the East Meets West Pakistani Professional Journeys podcast. Today, we're joined by a visionary leader and community advocate, Kashif Zubair. He is currently the CEO at AMCOB and a PI certified partner at the Predictive Index. As a champion for Muslim empowerment, Kashif is on a mission to build economic independence, foster political autonomy, and spread a deeper understanding of Islam globally. With a career spanning global firms like EY and PwC, and an entrepreneurial journey that began in 2008, he brings a rare blend of corporate insight and grassroots impacts. Kashif is a thoughtful, detail oriented problem solver who inspired those around him to think like an owner, helping individuals and organizations rise, lead, and challenge the status quo. From IBA Karachi to UC Irvine, his academic path reflects his passion for digital transformation and strategic leadership. Today, he's going to share his journey, rooted in faith and discipline, and shaping a better future for Muslim communities around the world. Pleasure having you on, Kashif.
Thank you so much, Azam, for having me here.
Awesome. So I guess we can kick off in terms of your experience in Pakistan. So can you describe your early years in Pakistan? How did that shape your worldview currently?
How early do you want to go?
Whatever you're willing to share in terms of what
Well,
shaped you today.
sure. So what it shaped me today was, as we say it in psychology, that now 1 to 3 age is the most important age in anybody's life, because that establishes 85% of your personality. So let me start from there. So I was born in Multan and then lived in a little bit in Bahawalpur, grew up in Hyderabad, came to Karachi, and from Karachi to 24 years ago. And my father was a senior banker. He was one of the start of banking industry in Pakistan. He was part of that. So he was working at a senior position. We were in a bigger house and or cars and stuff. Everything was available to us. So it was the 3 years that I spent there in that environment that shaped me who I am today and how I think.
Got you. So you mentioned that you studied at IBA Karachi. So when the transition from starting Multan and then going to IBA, how was that experience pretty smooth, or were there challenges along the way from that?
No, of course, there were challenges. And so I grew up in Hyderabad. I started my schooling in Hyderabad, then went to undergrad at University of Sindh. I
Yep.
got a bachelor's in commerce from there. And then I applied into IBA. And meantime, I also got, there used to be a institute called Petroman. I don't think it exists anymore. I also got a diploma in computer sciences from there, as it was 90s, was all about computerization. And then I applied into IBA, and with the blessings of Allah, I got into IBA in their MIS program, Management Information Systems program. And the admission process, like if you know, at that time at least, it was like literally 1 to 2% of the applicants got accepted. It was a very good transition into learning from the best. And all the teachers over there, and the students who were with me, they were all high achievers. So it was a
Gotcha.
very good introduction getting into the professional life.
Yeah, I'm sure it made you like hyper competitive, but like in terms of what other impacts did it have, like studying at IBA Karachi, like in terms of your professional outlook and your ambition and leadership, what key areas you feel you took away from your experience at IBA Karachi?
The key areas was number one was networking.
Okay.
And building those relationships. And even today, I graduated in 97. And I connect with people based on IBA connection. And that has had quite a bit in terms of,
Yep.
because IBA graduates, they are anywhere in the world, they are in top positions.
Yep.
And it's that camaraderie that is there, is that connection that is there. Oh, you are IBA grad. That has helped me quite a bit in my professional life.
Got you. And then after you graduated, you meant I think so it was mentioned that you worked at EY and
Oh,
in Pakistan. So what are the takeaways from that experience? I'm sure there was long hours and all, but
oh, yeah.
was there any other key takeaways from other than hours?
So when I started, I think it was at that time we used to have 6 days a week, work week.
Oh my God. Okay.
And I was working about 12 hours a day. So
Yeah.
what that taught me was that putting in the right hard work.
Yep.
And I was immediately, like, I started with EY and as an associate.
Yep.
And within 4 months, so I started there, I think it was March or April of 1998. And then they had promotions given in starting July 1st. And immediately I got promoted to assistant manager
Oh wow.
based on what I was, the level of education I was bringing in, and also the hard work that I put into those 4 months.
Yep.
That literally usually takes about 2 to 3 years to become a assistant manager. And in 4 months, I was assistant manager.
Was there, that's actually a very interesting. So in that short period of time, was there something you did specifically other than obviously show your work, but was there any other areas that allowed you to quickly get to that level? Do you
I think what they saw in me was the organization, how I organized my work,
remember?
and how I got ownership of the work that I was doing, and also how I collaborated with other people.
Got it.
And I have this natural from no, that I inspire people, other people. I
Got it.
bring people together. And so out of those characteristics, the soft skills, I would say, those were the reason because of which I got promoted within 4 months.
Got it. So how, in terms of building that mentorship, like a lot of people struggle in terms of finding the right people to connect with. So like, how did you manage to go about connecting with the individuals? Was it more just it's more fluid where you were just at work, you were doing the work and you were just asking questions? Do you take the initiative? Like how was that process like?
So observing mainly. So
Okay.
I'm an extreme introvert, which means that the studies that are done, or the studies that I've participated in, I can tell you that I'm in the 15% of the world population is extreme introvert.
Wow. It doesn't look like it, honestly.
Yes, it, like, because I can play different roles.
Yeah.
And so what that provided me the strength is that I'm very good observer. Walk in the room and I can take the temperature there, that what's going on, without
Yep.
talking to anybody. And whereas compared to extroverts are like, they are always talking, and they
Yeah.
have a tendency of then not observing what's around them, or not
Right.
absorbing what's around them. So I was on the extreme. So that helped me quite a bit in terms of connecting with people. And also, I always tell people that it's not that, as long as you have a baseline understanding of what should be done and what should not be done, you can learn from the people who are doing their best, and you can learn from the people who are doing their worst.
Right.
Because the best people, they show you the path that this is how it's done. And the worst people, they show you the path, this is not how to do things. So if you are able to differentiate, if you are so you don't have to have 100% people that would tell you that this is the path to take or this is how to do it. Even if you are sitting among people who are not successful and you are able to differentiate that now you know that thousand ways not to do it, that's what you can learn from it. So you can learn from everybody. I
Right.
believe that whenever Allah puts any two people together, there is a reason for it. There is a granular plan for it.
Yep.
As long as we observe, as long as we reflect. And most of the people these days, we have left that prophetic tradition of reflecting, which is the most important thing in anybody's life.
Yeah. So I guess we talked about in Pakistan. So moving towards actually transitioning from Pakistan to the US, how was that experience like for you? Was it good, like in terms of pretty like seamless, or was there issues along the way? How was it like?
So I'll tell you an interesting story. I never wanted to move to the US.
Yeah.
And so I was very well settled in Karachi. The time in 2000, March 2001, when I moved to Philadelphia, I was grad. I was working with Arthur Anderson and getting a very decent salary now there. I was also teaching at IBA, undergrad level. And so my life was very well set. And I didn't
Yep.
want to come to the US. I got the opportunity through my brother and who was an internist and he lives here. So he told me that, okay, just you have never been to the US. Why not just come here for 1 year? If you don't like it, go back. You can
Mm.
always do that. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, let's do that. That's a reasonable approach. Now it's over 24 years. And
Yeah.
I'm so, but had a plan for me and he brought me to give me more exposure and more exposure towards many things. Number one, I would say, was Islam. When I was in Pakistan, I lived 29 years there. Of course, I grew up in a Muslim family, Muslim
Yep.
environment. And I came here in March, and right after 6 months, September 11 happened.
Right.
When September 11 happened, out of curiosity, my colleagues, I was working in New Jersey at that time, and my colleagues they started asking me questions. I was like 29 years old, Muslim, single from Pakistan. And so they started asking me questions about Islam, and I realized that I had no idea what Islam was. I
Mm.
was performing rituals here and there. I would fast during the month of Ramadan and Quran a few times here and there, but I had no basic understanding of what Islam was.
Yep.
And then helped me a lot in terms of that. Then I put in the work into understanding Islam.
Yep.
And I put in about six, good 6, 7 years, and not just studying Islam, but I studied various religions. I picked basically top 15, 20 religions, and I did in-depth study of each of them.
Mm.
And then I chose Islam as my religion. And at that time, I was open to that. Okay, if there's anything else that makes sense, I was open to adopt that. And so that was the best blessing that came with migration to the US.
Gotcha.
And then on the professional side, when I came here, I was working in the IT department because when I was in Pakistan, I got a bunch of certifications related to systems auditing, web development, like on the hardware side, Cisco
Yep.
and Microsoft. And so all of those certifications I got on the basis of which I got the opportunity over here in the US. And so I started working in the IT department. And then from there, one recruiter one day reached out to me looking at my profile that I've worked with Arthur Anderson. He said that there is an opportunity at PwC. Your profile fits very well with it, but are you interested? I was like, okay, let's do it. And literally, I was not even applying. He reached out to me, and
Yeah. Very
then
cool.
I had a few interviews there, and I started with PwC.
Right.
And Alhamdulillah, again, I would say taking, putting in the hard work, taking in the responsibility ownership of the work that I was doing and bringing people together. I was immediately put in positions of leadership. I immediately got into management role of audit engagements or tier two engagements, which we used to call like where we were preparing organizations for audits.
Yep.
And I have managed some of the, like one of the engagement was the largest engagement at that time for PwC that I was managing. And then there were many opportunities that were presented to me just because they saw in me that, okay, if we give Kashif anything, he's gonna ace it and he's gonna manage it. Like in general, I would say when I look at the education system of Pakistan and compare education system of Pakistan and the US, Pakistani education system prepares very good managers. They are not as such, and it may have changed. I have been out of Pakistan for 24 years, so it may have changed now. But generally speaking, when I was down there, the Pakistani education system prepared very good managers. We were not the best innovators. And so whatever work I took on, I was the best manager on it.
Yep.
And that helped me excel in the corporate world. And like PwC, I was among the top five performers in the country. And
Nice.
I was also given the Chairman's Award. I think it was 2007.
Mhm.
And soft skills, I would again stress on. It was not the that I was the best auditor, I was the best technical person, but the soft skills that I developed growing up, those soft skills helped me
Understand.
get to places where I couldn't even dream of.
Right. So, do you have any advice? So, like when you first moved at age 29, you can't see, obviously, you can't see what's going to happen in terms of where you're going to go, where you're going to work, all that in the future. So, when you look back, like how does a person who recently moved into West from Pakistan,
Mhm.
how do they map their trajectory, or do they map their trajectory, or do they just keep taking on new roles or tasks or getting higher into position? What's your thoughts on that? What's the process of potentially mapping, if any?
Potentially mapping, one thing I would say is that thinking that no work is a small work. When you are doing even, and I've seen it in, given it happened in Pakistan and or here, same way, all the leadership works is that they would assign you a simple task to do. Once you do it well, they will give you a little bit more complex. Then they would give you a little bit more complex. And if taking GMAT or GRE, that when you are taking that test, you are initially you would get like a simple task. As you start performing well on those, they start getting complex.
Um, yep.
And so same way corporate America works, that once they are basically building trust in you and they
Right.
know that, okay, you can perform at this level, now give you something more. And then you are performing at that level, give it something more.
Yeah.
It's all about not working for a paycheck
Hmm.
and working for to excel in whatever you are doing.
Makes
Of
sense.
course, money comes with it, name comes with it,
Yeah.
everything that comes with it.
Got you. So I mentioned in introduction as well, you're the CEO at AMCOB. So lessons have you learned from in terms of leadership and strategy from just like building it up? My understanding is that you've basically built this organization up
Or-
since the beginning. So in
yeah.
terms of any lessons you take from it, building it from when you started initially to now?
Sure, sure. So let me give you a background of how AMCOB, which stands for Allied Muslim Chamber of Business, it came about.
Yep.
So I was running. So I started my that first 10-year career was in public accounting, and actually there's a story associated with that as well. If yeah, we I can if you don't mind, I can share that.
Yeah, no, 100%. Go ahead.
So I'm always a planner. So I plan well in advance for
Yep.
like decades to come in a way. So when I was graduating high school in 90 and around that time 92 around that time the movie came out, Pretty Women. I'm sure you have watched that. It's like it's a famous movie from the past. So
Gotcha.
I was all focused on Richard Gere. He was the VC. He was venture capitalist, and it was an introduction to me of being a VC. And I was like, I want to be like that. I go in and buy businesses and fix them and sell them.
Yeah.
And so I designed my career path that at the time I looked into that which education would provide me the in-depth knowledge of a business. Came down to accounting. So that's
Mm.
how I picked accounting as my major in undergrad. Then it was 90s era, mid 90s. So I was like, okay, there's something I need to do in computer sciences. So that's how I got the 1 year diploma in computer sciences from Petroman. And then I got my first MBA in management information systems. And my plan was to to work in public accounting companies for 10 years and then start my own business. So that's exactly what I did in a way. And I moved geographies. That was not in the plan, but provided me the opportunity and moved me physically to the US from Pakistan. When 2008 came in, I left PwC, completed my 10 years there, and I started my first business.
Hmm.
And then from there, I got part of a marketing agency and then left that in 2011, then focused more on the management consulting side. And I was more doing like business strategies at that time. And I realized that I would develop one business strategy for a company. It would be very successful. And I
Yep.
would set up another, same business strategy I would apply to another company and it would completely fail.
Mm.
So at that time, I realized that a strategy is nothing. So you have to have a decent strategy, but it's the execution that matters.
Yep.
And so now, whenever somebody comes in and tells me that, hey, I have an idea that's very secret, that's very unique, as I always tell them, if you have an idea, 10,000 other people have also that idea. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
And then it's the execution that matters. So I focused more. I mentioned in the introduction that I became my company became the Predictive Index certified partner. Predictive Index is a psychometric tool, number one in the world right now. And so it provides behavior and cognitive assessments of people. So then I got into looking at the people's behaviors, people's cognitive skills, help them improve it and help them get better at work and in their general life. So all of that experience provided me a very deeper insight into how people work and how businesses work. Like I've worked at Fortune 500 level, I have worked at mid-size, small business. So all of that was preparing me, providing all these various different experiences. And then in March of 2020, an incident happened that changed many lives, changed mine. George Floyd was murdered.
Hmm.
And at that time, I came to the States, like at that time, I was in the States for 19, 20 years. But I never went through the system to understand how systems work.
Yep.
I was just working and doing other things, but at the society level, I never took the time to understand how society works. That was an eye opening for me. And I realized that there are certain communities left behind systematically, and it's not their fault. The systems are created in a way to leave anybody who is basically, especially Black people in America,
Mm.
that they are never able to get or become equal to white people. When you look at the education system, very much based on race. When you look at the healthcare system, very much based on race. Even in the business world, there are hardly any VCs that are from Black community.
Mhm.
And so out of that, when I looked upon and reflected, I realized that, okay, I'm in my last leg of my career. I have another 10 years or so to go. Allah has blessed me with all this knowledge. and skill set and everything. And around at that time, I was also a member with an organization called Vistage.
Mhm.
Vistage, for those of who don't know, Vistage is a peer advisory group for business owners. It's the organization is about 70 years old. And so there are three main organizations here in the US and worldwide, I believe, as well. That Vistage is one of them. And then there is a EU, Entrepreneurs Organization, that's about 75 years old. And then there is a YPO, the Young Presidents Organization, which is 50 years old. So I started looking into that if there are faith-based peer advisory groups for business owners. During my research, I found that there are many for Jewish community. There are many more for Christian community. There was not a single one for Muslims.
Oh wow. Okay.
And at that time, like I was like, okay, Allah has basically, I looked at, and by that time I already had another MBA from UCRY, and that was focused more on the digital transformation side. So I was like, okay, and I reflected on my career and education, and I was like, okay, I can take this on. That's what I was preparing me for. And so I started MCOB. And alhamdulillah, in today is June 1st. We completed our 2 years in April.
Mhm.
And it's a peer advisory group for Muslim business owners. And our initially, when I started it, it's the I couldn't even think that it would become that big or the big business CEOs would be joining it. But today, our groups are divided by revenue. So we have groups that are under 1 million, 1 to 5, 5 to 25, 25 to 100 million and above. And in 100 million and above, our largest company, I feel very proud to have him with us, Dr. Sohail Masood of Kawa Fusion. His company is $2.5 billion company.
Oh, yeah.
And he is a part of our peer advisory group. And along with the others, like he's the largest one and the largest company that is there. And then we have a bunch of other companies that are in 100 millions, 200, 300, and all of those. And then, of course, the smaller ones there. So our
Yep.
mission as an organization is to create a thriving Muslim business community.
Yep.
And as we know, to help rise a community, there are two things that are necessary. Number one is courage,
Mhm.
and number two is entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship creates wealth. 9 to 5 job provides comfort. So my goal is to turn every Muslim into an entrepreneur, because then we would have the ability and capability to make the impact that we wish we could make in the world,
Right.
and
Yeah.
for us to get back in the leadership roles within the world.
No, that's a great summary. I guess it's pretty difficult in when you were so set, like historically, like with family and as well, that might have 9 to 5 or certain jobs to
Yeah.
break out of that mold of going to entrepreneurship. It's obviously like at least with the people I've also met as well, it's even more rough compared to a 9 to 5. Like you said, comfort versus building wealth. Wealth is definitely way harder than potentially. So, like, how do you have any advice for young individuals that are trying to get into this their interested fields and they're scared of potentially failing? What have you seen from the people you've met in terms of the owners? What are the key traits that they had that led them to their success from your opinion?
As they say, most successful people are the ones who have failed the most.
Yeah.
And I wish I was on the journey of getting there, but like Canada did provide me that insight into it. To the young professionals who are there, who are looking to make a mark in business or who are looking to diversify into business and leaving their 9 to 5 job, my advice to them would be that don't go alone in it.
Okay. Yep.
And when I say alone, I mean take Allah with you.
Yep.
The barakah effect that it brings to your life, knowing, feeling that Allah is with you, can, like, you cannot achieve that
Replicate.
anywhere else.
sense.
And as a Muslim, we have a much greater advantage
Hmm.
of our belief system. Think of it like when you were little and when you were around with your parents. Your parents took care of you. They
Yep.
provided you the best. They provided you the security and the safety. And then, yes, they let you do some risky stuff to
Hmm.
help you become more powerful, to empower you.
Yep.
Allah is the same way. Allah puts us through failures. Allah provides us successes. So
Yep.
the main thing I would say is when you take Allah along with you,
Yep.
that's where when you are successful, you say Alhamdulillah. When you are a failure, you still say Alhamdulillah because
Right.
Allah has a plan. You may not know what's going to happen. I didn't know, like when I graduated from IBA in 97, I didn't know
Yeah.
that I would
Same.
be sitting here today and talking to you about all this stuff. Allah had
Yeah.
a plan.
Yeah.
So trusting in Allah will provide you the encouragement. Trusting
Right.
in Allah will provide you the resources. Like I have like so many resources have opened up to me that I never could think of that I would be talking to these individuals. So one thing that I would suggest or I would advise to young folks, get closer to Allah, build a relationship with Allah. Allah put that into my life when He brought me here and September 11 happened and unfortunate situation. But through that, He brought me closer to Islam. He brought me closer to Him.
Yep.
And not everybody needs to go through those type of tragic events. But if you build a good relationship with Allah, and especially like I know that your program is more focused on the Pakistani community and all that.
Yep.
It is unfortunate, and I experienced it firsthand when I came, as I mentioned, like when I came here in at the age of 29, I realized I didn't know anything about Islam. There is a study done by George Washington University. Now they have done it a couple of times, I think 2010 and 2014, 15. And they took the principles of Islam and applied it to all the countries where Islam is actually implemented. And unfortunately, Pakistan is ranked like 140 or something.
Oh wow. Okay.
In the first 50 countries where Islam is implemented, there's only one country, Indonesia, at the 41st level.
Okay. Wow.
The rest of the countries are all non-Muslim,
Wow. Okay.
where actually you see Islam being implemented. US, I think, is 16th or 17th. Top countries are Scandinavian countries, where you see the Islamic values, Islamic principles are being implemented.
Yep.
So my suggestion to the young folks would be that if they want to be successful in this world and the world hereafter, build a relationship with Allah,
Awesome.
and they will find many successes in this world and the world hereafter.
Yeah. No, that's great insight there. So I know that. So you mentioned like also others as well, like actually meeting with others and trying to build that network or frame of network. So any groups you recommend joining as well? I know, or is there a way to join AMCOB as well? Like what's the process for that, or any other groups you would recommend for people who might be interested in learning more?
There are a few groups that I would identify. Yes, they can, if they are for people in the US. And even now, we are actually going to Pakistan after 18 years in
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Very nice.
and I have designed a bringing people more closer to Allah or to Islam.
Hmm.
I have designed a workshop, a day long workshop. It's called MLDL, Muslim Life Design Lab, in which, so I'm actually excited to implement that in Pakistan. So I'd be going to Pakistan, Karachi, Lahore, and we'd be doing those workshops there, along with workshops around the world as well. And yes, they can connect. They can go to mcop.org and subscribe to our newsletter and become part of. We are operating right now. We are operating in 25 cities, mostly in the US.
Mhm.
but outside the US as well, they can come attend the events. They can, if they are business owners, they can come and be part of our peer advisory groups. And
Nice.
so they can join all that. Along with it, there is another good organization called Open, Organization of Pakistani Entrepreneurs. And that's also a very good organization to be part of, a good network, very successful individuals. So I'm a charter member. There are about 300 charter members around the world. So I'm one of them. And so that's also a very good organization for Pakistani, both on the corporate side and for entrepreneurs, for them to connect with each other. Then there is on the East Coast, I believe there is, it's not functioning right now at the full strength, but there's MUPPIs, Muslim
Mhm.
Urban Professionals. And
Okay.
so people can join that. And then we have for people who are working in different government agencies in the US, the it's called Muslims in Public Service something. I'm completely going
Yeah, I
on the
remember.
name.
Right.
They are a DC based organization. That's also a very good organization for people to join, especially if they are looking to do contracts with federal agencies or the state level agencies, and
Yep.
they can join that. And then at the local level, everybody should participate in the mosque related activities.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
we have basically outsourced our religion to all these religious people. And but as a Muslim, it's our responsibility to take on the responsibility of our religion,
Yep.
no matter what you are doing in your professional life. So I would highly encourage everyone to be part of their organization of their mosque, the programs that they are doing. Like on over here on the West Coast, we have very good programs that are being offered through the mosque to entrepreneurs, to Muslim professionals and other ones, because those people did participate. They sat at the table and they made decisions that these are the type of programming that should be offered. So there are many opportunities out there.
Yep.
It's just
Uh,
a matter of
doing it.
doing it. And we, I look at it on like when it's the very one of the things we have Eid coming up in
Yep.
next Friday.
Next week.
The way it is said to be the how you divide the portions after you sacrifice an animal, or if somebody passes away and you look at that, okay, now how their estate is being divided.
Hmm.
All of those people, they have rights on you.
Yep.
And that's why it is said that after you pass away, your estate goes to this many people. Or when you do a sacrifice, this sacrifice goes to one third for your family, one third for the community, one third for the poor. All
Yep.
of those people have rights on you. So we have to start performing, fulfilling those rights and not just think about ourselves.
So I guess we can wrap up in terms of how do you define success? So you can go both professionally or personally. I'll leave it completely open to you how you want to approach this.
Sure. So the way I define success is begin with the end in mind. And the seven habits of highly successful people, one of the
Yep.
habits is begin with the end in mind. What is our end that you have to define? My end, the way I have defined it, is life hereafter.
Yep.
And to be successful in that life, the one ingredient that I need is to be closer to Allah in this life.
Yep.
And so that's how I define success. And that whatever you are doing, you keep your eyes on what's ahead, what's the end point, what's the end goal.
Yep.
And then you can, then truly you can be successful. Like worldly success, it does not attract me anymore. And yes, I'm turning 53 in August. So I have passed that age where I felt that even like when I got into IBA, I graduated from IBA, I got into UCRO, I graduated from there, or worked with the finance institutions or organizations. Now I realize it more that it was all Allah's plan.
Yep.
When you were born, your the time of your death is written. When you were born, before that, your risk is decided. So, of course, if your risk is decided, is the source is also decided. And that tells us in Quran that he teaches us, and he was not talking about like just the religious education. If the person in today's world would be an attorney, and so all of these things are basically Allah has defined everything in life for us, or the successes or the failures,
Exactly.
and the true success is realizing that fact,
Yep.
realizing that Allah is in control, understanding that our success is associated with staying on the path of Allah. And that's the straight path, directly leading us to Jannatul Firdaus. So if you are, and by no means, I'm saying that I'm there.
Yep. Okay.
It's in a way like when you started schooling, you are in like a kindergarten, grade one, and you think that you are gonna become a doctor, you're gonna become an engineer. You are not there. You have not done it, but you have that vision. I would like people to have that vision that they have Allah in their life. And whether they are at 5% of it, 1% of it, or even in negative at the moment. But as long as you have that vision, Allah has told us that if you walk towards me, He's going to run towards you.
Yeah.
And so, as
No.
long as we have that vision, you are going to be successful at the end, no matter what.
Yeah. No, it's great. I felt like you remember the second question I asked when we started talking about
Yes.
aspect. I was like, how do you map out in terms of when you're 29 and how do you map that out? But I think so you've like this full circle in terms of the answer here because being able to look just work towards the foundation, like you already have the foundation, and then work towards that and take task as it goes. I think so that's also extremely important. Yeah, no, it's really good.
No, Alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed me. Like a number one blessing in my life is that Allah has blessed me to be a Muslim.
Yeah.
And nothing is compared to that. No matter what worldly success you can achieve, nothing
Yeah.
compared to that.
Awesome. Rakashif, thank you for taking the time on a weekend to go through your experience. Like, it's also probably extremely busy on your end too. So
No,
it's great
Alhamdulillah,
sharing your experiences from.
thank you for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's you talked about your experiences all the way starting from Pakistan and then the US and your experiences on PwC and so on, and now working on the existing. It was a pleasure having you on, and it was great getting your insight.
All right. Thank you so much.